Hi everyone, Heather here with Raven Hayes Healing and Divination, and today let's talk about the difference between a binding spell and a banishing spell. Okay, we often hear about both of these types of spells, but I'm going to share with you what I feel is the difference between these two. So let's start with banishing, because to me a banishing spell is something that really should be used more frequently probably than a binding spell. Banishing spells are often done on a waning moon, so you're going to do it when things are decreasing or you want to release something. And it's used to send things away. You can banish people, banish demons or negative entities. You can banish bad habits, negative energy, like I said, anything. You can banish, send away, banish you, okay? And a lot of times you use a black candle for that. White, of course, is a substitute for anything. You may want to use a brown candle if you're doing something like banishing sorrows, okay? So that's banishing, getting something out of your life. And for the most part, the way I see it is if you've got something, some crud in your life, whether it's some person or some habit or whatever, then wouldn't you just really want it out of your life? Makes sense to me. So let's talk about binding spells. Binding, when you bind something, you're essentially tying it to you in a way. You're attaching it to you. So you can bind a person using, for example, the freezer spell, where you put them in, put their name paper or their photo in a container of water and throw it in the freezer. So you're freezing them, you're binding them, you're stopping them in their tracks, okay? The other example of a binding is actually a hand fasting ceremony. That is a binding ceremony where you're using, ribbon and rope to bind yourself to another person, okay? So binding kind of keeps you with the person or with the situation or with the issue. And a lot of times when you see a binding spell, you're going to see stuff like freezing it or string to tie it, tape to tape it, knots like knot magic. You're binding your intention into the knot. If you're sewing something up, you are binding that intention into there. So the way I see it, when you bind something, it's sort of like when you're binding somebody, you are the creepy guy who is keeping, the girl tied up in the basement, So you're kind of holding on to that thing. You're holding on to that energy. Whereas if you're banishing something, you're just getting rid of it. Go, get out of here. So that is my take on the difference between a binding spell and a banishing spell. So I'd love to hear from you. What do you think is the difference between a binding spell and a banishing spell? And what other elements do you think would be appropriate for each of those types of spells? Okay? Share in the comments below. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and share this video. My cat is flipping out. And I will see you in the next video. Okay? Bye, guys.